self-awareness, self-management, self-motivation. Me, self.
Yeah.
The next two domains have to do with others,
Yeah.
because then we move to empathy, which I love to call the human connection. Empathy helps me to connect with others, understand them, know what motivates them. Empathy. And then the fifth one, social skills, how to relate with others in a meaningful way. So, to summarize emotional intelligence, you want to say is that ability to understand myself and to manage myself, then to understand others and to manage others. Resilience, simply put, is the ability to quickly recover from a crisis or difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
That's resilience. I have a word for it. I call it bounce back ability. Bounce back ability, the ability to bounce back.
Bounce back. Yeah.
So yeah. Resilience is not an absence of strife. It's not an absence of crisis, because life does not exist without strife, without conflict, without crisis. Resilience is a fundamental power of human beings to overcome and to progress in life.
Yeah.
And now, when we don't have resilience, when we don't discover it, life becomes very difficult. Now, why is this topic very important today? It's very important because, society, there are movements, there are things that are viral, there are things that become popular at different seasons in
Mm-hmm.
life. One of them today is what we call emotional fragility. In the bid to help people's mental well-being, um, emotional fragility is being projected out of proportion. The result of the overemphasis is that we've built a youth population that avoids discomfort because they feel it means it's going to affect my mental well-being. We've developed a youth population with reduced resilience. They are not able to manage adversity and to pursue their objectives. Once there's any adversity, someone says, in my mental well-being, my mental well-being, and they give up, they break. So they give up. Now I wonder, the result of it again is that people struggle in relationships in the workplace and in business. There's a higher rate, statistically proven, of suicides in the world today more than ever before.
Yeah.
There's a higher rate of suicide, breaking up of relationships, people living artificial lives, depending on fake likes and things rather than on real relationships. There's an over identification with the struggles we have, and we worship our struggles rather than put them in perspective and move forward.
Wow. Kunle, how are
Yeah,
you?
man, I'm fine.
Hey,
I'm fine. Nice to finally sit face to face and to get this done. We've been postponing and postponing
yes.
for valid reasons, but
Yeah, see,
we thank God for this opportunity.
I like the fact that we are busy, that things are moving, So it doesn't matter if you have to do a little bit of postponement to make sure we are both at the right place to have this conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. So, Kunle, so
thanks.
tell my audience who you are and what you do.
Okay, so once again, my name is Kunle Adefila. I'm a management consultant. I specialize in training. I'm an international speaker. I've been around a couple of places, and I have a background in banking. I started my early career with journalism, sales, and marketing. Then I went into banking for a period of 14 years, where I was privileged to manage different branches of banking institutions, manage people, manage processes, handle products, developed a lot of skills in the process, leadership skills, people management skills. And then I always had a passion for emotional intelligence, psychology. It wasn't called emotional intelligence in those days, it was psychology. So even when I was in university, I was reading books on psychology, which were not my domain. That was just my
Me
passion.
too.
So Later on in my career, I found those things useful, very, very useful. But to come back to my career trajectory, I left banking in 2014, and then I started consulting, which was what I had a passion for. People development, capacity development, training, coaching, and all that with various institutions and the different dimensions. Overall, I have about 32 years of corporate experience leading and managing teams.
Mm.
Today, I had a training institution, KGL Prime Consult,
Yeah.
which we mostly engage. We also do, apart from engaging with corporate institutions, I do a lot of CSR initiatives, speaking with youth, which was what connected us in the first place,
Yes.
speaking with
Exactly.
youth teams, institutions that cater to the youth, women, religious institutions. I go around a lot. It's a bit,
Okay.
and this is what I enjoy doing.
Good.
And that is why I'm here today.
Yeah. All right. All right. See, it's good you found your niche. And like you said, what connected us was your work with youths. I saw on LinkedIn, and I was very, very interested in talking to you because for us Africans, our youths are the key to our development. And I see that our youths have unique challenges. The things we in our era when we're young, we somehow found it not as challenging as the youth of today. Okay, those things that we just easily handled is so difficult for them. So when I see people who are working with youths to handle those challenges, I really want to hear from them. I have three daughters, teenagers, so I have those issues myself. Okay, and even though I'm a coach, somehow your children, when you say the same thing you say to an outsider, that they listen to you, your children will listen to you to go here, fly out there. So yes, I like to talk to people who handle youth and empower them. So now I saw the program you did for was it a secondary school or some organization? So tell us a little
Was
bit about
yes.
that. You know?
Okay. I think the particular one you're referencing had to do with an international school
Okay.
based in Lagos, Nigeria. They have a vibrant curriculum. They have lots of intelligent teams, and that's they actually invited me to speak to them on personal financial management,
Okay.
and that is something I really value, and I will tell you why. There are two things I think were missing from our upbringing, majority of us in our
Yes.
generation. Two things, and there's some little effort to remedy it today. Those two things, which happen to be more important in life than all the subjects we are taught in school, are one, emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Everyone, I mean, the whole world has a consensus on that now. I think it's too late for everyone to say that it's not relevant. It's rather too late. We were not taught in a deliberate manner. It
Okay.
was a hit or miss affair. You either picked it up if you were lucky to grow up with somebody that's emotionally aware and balanced, which was rare, but just struggled through life. The
Mm.
emphasis for our generation was subject skills, technical skills,
Yeah.
skills that you use in the workplace, not what will enhance your personal capacity. Now, the second thing was financial intelligence. Financial
Yep.
intelligence. It was another area where we struggled. Take, for instance, I worked in the banking domain, and there were many bankers like me who handled people's money because there was a
Me too.
structure and a process. Aha. But we did not understand the principles that guided money. So
Yeah.
while we managed these institutional funds, our personal finances were a mess, and a lot of us suffered.
Yeah.
So now, for somebody like me, what started my quest into personal financial management was very personal. It wasn't about trying to make money by teaching or consulting for anyone. It was personal. I came from what you call a humble background. That's very fine language for poor background. No one can afford to be very frank and sincere with something. And so getting an opportunity to work in a financial institution was like a breakthrough for me. But then all of a sudden, through poor management of funds, investing in wrong vehicles, doing what everybody was doing, taking loans I did not need, investing them in consumer products rather than into business, I did made all the typical mistakes. And then I was in financial trouble.
Hmm.
So I asked why. I started asking why. Why was somebody that was fortunate to finally transform his situation find themselves in this kind of mess? So I started asking questions and investigating. That led me on the journey of financial planning. And I discovered, I now realized again that out there, the few people, most of out of the few people that were teaching personal financial management, out of the few, majority of that few were making it sound very technical.
Hmm.
They made it sound that it scared people and it seemed incomprehensible, like you have to be good in maths or good in economics to really understand these things. And I realized that this was not so.
Yeah.
So I was privileged because of my orientation to bring a personal, simple approach to it. That wherever I speak on it, everyone, no matter your background, will connect. By the way, I read history. I read history. I didn't have a background in financial education or anything
Yeah.
technical.
Mm-hmm.
By doing that, once in a while, I just happened. Then people started calling me for that. This was not what I put on my company profile as list of topics. But believe you me, once people discovered by word of mouth, I started getting invited to financial institutions, other corporate institutions, to speak on it to their staff because everyone realized this was one area of failing.
Yeah.
So
Most
those
of
two
us.
guys, emotional intelligence, financial intelligence, I'm passionate about them. I'm passionate about handing whatever I have over to the youth because we don't want to see them go through the pain we went through because nobody spoke to us
Mm,
or taught us
mm,
what we
mm,
needed to
mm.
know. That has been my mission for a while.
Very
Yeah.
good. So, emotional intelligence. Now, I hear that everywhere. I started hearing it from my father. Okay. My father used to be a manager in human development department of NMPC over nearly 30 years ago now. He retired about 20 years ago. Right. So
Great.
I started hearing that from him because they did a lot of training on that, and I attended
Oh, wow.
a few of them in those days. So I was opportune to l- learn those things maybe very early compared to most people. Okay, now
Yeah.
now
Mm, mm,
learning
mm.
emotional intelligence was great, and I started using it. Now, I'm not an expert. I still have my feelings. Okay. So you do this, teach people how to embrace this. Please tell
Mm.
us a little bit more of the things you teach people and help people, especially youths, to do.
Mm. Challenging one, and they'll explain. Not challenging to knowing where what we. Okay, so let me put it this way: emotional intelligence is vast and
Yes,
embracive.
it is.
It covers many things. Now, on the streets there, because the word has become popular in recent years, everybody bandies the word with their own peculiar meanings.
Mm,
And lots of times, what they are saying has nothing to do with what emotional intelligence even has to say.
okay.
And then sometimes they narrow it to one particular area and they just say, you need to have emotional intelligence. And anyone's vast versed in emotional intelligence will wonder precisely what is that?
Yes.
because there are five major. Emotional intelligence covers every aspect of human understanding
Interactions. Yeah.
and interaction. It's put into five buckets, five major pillars of
Okay.
emotional intelligence. One is self awareness, and that's the starting point. If
Yes.
I don't understand myself, where I'm coming from, why I think the way I think, I feel the way I feel, I'm able to grasp who I am, what made me, why am I this way. If I don't understand the complex background factors with choices and all, which is what self-awareness is, I'm going to struggle with every other thing. I'm just
Yes.
going to stumble along the line, through life. So it all starts with self-awareness. Who am I? What made me who I am today? And then who can I become? Because if I understand the fundamentals of how I got here, I can now realize the great power of choice that I have, which I might not have been using, and know how to um, move forward the
Yeah.
way I want to move forward. So self awareness is number one. Then there's self management.
Okay.
If I've discovered who I am, this great machine, this great computer that I now have to acquire tools to manage this being, to optimize my value, my performance, my delivery, my interactions, to optimize the great tools that are embedded within me, self-management. Then the fourth pillar, self-motivation, which is one of the things that we're scheduled to talk about today.
Yes.
One is emotional resilience. The other one is self-motivation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We want to look at self-motivation, the ability to motivate myself, to be in charge of my motivation, know how to use it, when to use it, without being dependent on external factors,
Yeah.
which is a rare skill but a great skill. If I want to talk about motivation, in our pre-chat, you and I, we identified that most people misunderstand what motivation is. They think it's that thing from outside, stimulated by external factors,
Yeah.
and it's not. External factors could enable it, could ginger it, but it's not dependent on that. But don't let me go into a full-blown scheme yet on motivation. And then, so when we've looked at the three, emotional intelligence is divided into three domains, total of five competencies. The first three competencies have to do with me, self awareness, self management, self motivation. Me, self.
Yeah.
The next two domains have to do with others,
Yeah.
because then we move to empathy, which I love to call the human connection. Empathy helps me to connect with others, understand them, know what motivates them. Empathy. And then the fifth one, social skills, how to relate with others in a meaningful way. So, to summarize emotional intelligence, you want to say is that ability to understand myself and to manage myself, then to understand others and to manage others.
Very good.
That is, it's simplistic, but it's embracing.
See,
That is
I
emotional
would tell
intelligence.
you, you have dissected emotional intelligence in a way that anybody can understand. Very simple. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Now,
Thank you very much.
like you said, we really wanted to talk about two particular topics: resilience and self motivation. Now, and those two things are mostly because young people depend on understanding and using those. So let's start with resilience. What is resilience?
Okay, so now this is so important, and I thank you for bringing this up when we had our initial discussions.
Yes.
I really thank you because honestly, this is huge. It's very huge.
Yeah.
Um, Resilience, simply put, is the ability to quickly recover from a crisis or difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
That's resilience. I have a word for it. I call it bouncer back ability.
Mm.
Bouncer back ability, the ability to bounce back.
Bounce back. Yeah.
So, yeah. Resilience is not an absence of strife. It's not an absence of crisis because life does not exist without strife, without conflict, without crisis.
Yeah.
That's not true. The real world out there has everything embedded in it, both good and bad, positive and negative, ease and stress. Everything is embedded. That's real life. Resilience then is not an absence of strife, it's not an absence of conflict, it's not an absence of challenges, but the ability to move forward and progress
Mm.
despite those negative situations. That is
Yeah.
resilience. Resilience is a core, a fundamental power of human beings to overcome and to progress in life.
Yeah.
And now, when we don't have resilience, when we don't discover it, life becomes very difficult. Now, why is this topic very important today? It's very important because, society, there are movements, there are things that are viral, there are things that become popular at different seasons in
Mm-hmm.
life. One of them today is what we call emotional fragility.
Yep.
In the bid to help people's mental well-being, um, emotional fragility is being projected out of proportion. And that's the key thing, out of
Out
proportion.
of proportion.
In
Yes.
psychology, there's a place for each concept, but if you trump a particular concept,
Tell me. Sorry.
don't others. Yeah.
Have
Sorry.
you ever read Jonathan Haidt?
No. What book is
Uh,
that?
well, for one is oh God, I can't see. I can't even read.
No, maybe as we
But
go
I've
ahead.
read three of his books, and I have the fourth one on
Yeah.
my bed right now. I'm going to start it next week. See, he
Okay.
has written about this. In fact, he's the foremost expert on this topic about
Oh
youth.
wow.
Yeah. Okay. But see,
So
I had to
what
read
is
it because
happening?
of
Yeah.
my daughters.
Yeah, and that is, I really appreciate that.
Mm,
Parents that are aware and are improving themselves to impact those around them, it's very important.
yes.
We can't say, this is how we used to do it, this is what I know, and it ends there. No way. It won't work in the world of today.
Yeah.
So, what is happening is oftentimes, if you look at certain concepts, take emotional intelligence
Mm,
or take emotional self control or the
yes.
word empathy. Take the word empathy. The way society has used empathy over the years and made us to understand is something mushy, being soft, and connecting to other people. And I saw a lot of people shy to be to demonstrate empathy because they saw it as a weakness. I'm talking about
Yes.
training managers, senior managers in the workplace. Say, oh, they will take advantage of me, but they say we should be empathetic anyway. So we
Yes.
try to be empathetic. So they saw empathy as me giving way, me being soft and being mushy. And that's not what it is. That's what society connotes it as. But in
Yeah.
psychology, in emotional intelligence, there are three types of empathy. There's cognitive empathy, there's compassionate empathy.
Yeah.
There's what's the third one? There are three types of empathy. The one that people are emotional empathy. People often focus on is emotional empathy. The
Mm,
kind of empathy that you are just being emotionally soft. And a counselor or a doctor that is too soft that has that kind of empathy, if a patient is crying and the counselor may burst out crying with them
correct. Exactly.
and they become useless and they can't help them. A doctor that loses a patient that has a huge dose of emotional empathy will become so weak and distraught that they give up. We've heard of a doctor that committed suicide. In fact, the film was acted on one many years ago because they
Mm,
lost the patient. Now, cognitive empathy is what service providers, counselors, doctors, and others need, teachers, and
yeah.
all that. Cognitive empathy is being able to understand where you're coming from, understand your perspective, yet I'm disassociated enough to make intelligent decisions that can help you.
Yeah.
So if the decision to help you is going to be soft, I will make it. If it's going to be tough, but because it's going to help you, I will help you see and make it. And sometimes you may not really appreciate it at the moment because you are hoping for a soft fall. But later on, when you are helped and come out, we've seen people come back and say, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't understand or appreciate it then, but now I see it clearly. Thank you for making that call about me. I'm truly sorry about the way I responded. So, cutting back to resilience, the way a word, what a word really means and what it represents would be often misinterpreted by lay users who focus on a folklore perspective that is damaging. So what we have today is an emphasis, undue emphasis on emotional sensitivity to the detriment
Yes.
of resilience. In fact, now many people begin to think that resilience means what it's not. Resilience means bottling up your emotions, covering up your emotions, and appearing
Yeah.
tough. And resilience has nothing to do with
Nothing
that.
to that. Yeah.
No book on it, but that's what they're contrasting it as. And the result is out there. The result is this. Um, while emotional fragility, that means confronting your emotions, being aware of them, and exposing them, bringing them, and handling them is very key. The result of the overemphasis is that we've built a youth population that avoids discomfort
Yeah.
because they feel it means it's going to affect my mental well-being.
Yeah.
We've developed a youth population with reduced resilience. They are not able to manage adversity and to pursue their objectives. Once there's any adversity, someone says, in my mental well-being, my mental well-being, and they give up. They break.
Yeah. They
Somebody needs
give up
therapy.
so
Somebody
easily.
needs to be held. So they give up. Now, I wonder, the result of it again is that people struggle in relationships in the workplace and in business. There's a higher rate, statistically proven, of suicides in the world today more than ever before.
Yeah.
There's a higher rate of suicide, breaking up of relationships, people living artificial lives, depending on fake likes and things rather than on real relationships. There's an over identification with the struggles we have, and we worship our struggles rather than put them in perspective and move forward.
The simple word
Yeah,
is victimhood.
that's it. That's
See,
it. There's a
that is
huge
what.
dependence on
Yeah.
external validation,
Yeah.
and it's breaking people apart. It hurts people like me when we see the damage that's being done in the name of doing good.
Yeah.
So I have two daughters as well. One
Okay.
is in the university, one is entering the university.
Good.
And
Me too.
when I looked at what is going on in the world, and what I, as somebody that goes around helping people, coaching, executive coaching, coaching, mentoring, and doing so much, what can I? What is one of the vital gifts I can give these children? And I decided that that gift is one of them. One of them, major ones, is emotional resilience. So I sat them down over time. I also take them whenever they are free, along with me for sessions. I
Good.
sat them down and made them understand that the world out there, whether anyone likes it or not, will not always be friendly, will not always be cuddly. People could be nasty. Teams, your mates, could be very, very horrible to themselves.
Yeah.
There are predators out there. I can't watch over you all the time. It will be a huge disadvantage for me to promote fragility and you break down at every little thing and then you run from this, you run from that, you're victim, you're terrorized. That's not the way to grow up. The gift I'm going to give you is the ability to confront your fears, to develop inner confidence, inner strength, to call it mental strength,
Yeah.
emotional toughness, emotional resilience, to confront, face those things, not have them decimate you, move ahead despite them, be
Yeah.
strong, not to dodge your fears, but to confront and overcome, not to bury how you feel, but to speak it out, but without depending on somebody to accept you or not, you can accept yourself and move forward. Self acceptance, emotional toughness. I started gradually from a young age, giving them those concepts little bite size here and there, so
Yes.
that and that doesn't mean they didn't go through struggles. School could be
Oh,
tough,
not. Of course not.
especially when you want to leave some values and you don't bow to general perception.
Mm.
They will isolate you, they will attack you because people love herd mentality. And when you don't
Oh yeah.
belong to the herd, they attack you. How dare you dare to be different? How dare you stand apart? Now you are pointing to their weaknesses indirectly, so they will attack you.
Exactly.
So there were times, there were seasons when my daughters came back like that, and they were almost, and I saw that there was a talk to me. I made it a point of duty to be their friend early, not just their dad, so that we could connect and they could open up. And up to today, thank God they open up the talk. And when they
Thank God.
tell me, one of them broke down and cried one day. I took her out, just you and I, no other family member. So it's not a family thing. So and I begged her. I saw she was struggling. I saw she was going through some things. I could see the changes, but she was unwilling to talk about it. So I took her out and I begged her. I said, look, listen, we've always had this wonderful relationship. From when you were little and you liked the boy, wanted him to be your boyfriend, and you spoke to me, and we guided ourselves through that. Now imagine my pain. I counsel people, teenagers, adults, senior executives, CEOs, EDs, everywhere. I help them through their darkest nights. But my daughter is here going through something and I can't
I
do
can
anything.
help.
And I told her, I said, please, I promise I'm not going to be father. I'm going to be a professional, a neutral person that you can speak to. And, then she started talking and she started talking. She wept. And I I was professional. I didn't weep. I can tell you that. But I felt her pain. Then I started and I started helping her. Today she's tough. I mean, she sees those things, identifies them, knows where they're coming from, and is like, hey. And then she moved on. And she makes her own choices. She's chosen her path. This is whom I want to be. These are the
Excellent.
values that I live by.
Excellent.
I'm not ashamed by them. I don't care whether you accept me or not. I've accepted
Myself.
myself.
Yeah.
Those closest to me have accepted me, and I can live with that. And I'm so glad that God gave me the opportunity to do that.
That's very good.
So,
That is excellent.
resilience, the key need of the world today is not a lack of resilience, but rather is a great balance, a careful balance between emotional fragility, or let's call it emotional openness, emotional sensitivity, and emotional resilience. One must not be painted to the detriment of the other.
Of the
We
other.
need
Yeah.
balance, people that are emotionally and psychologically balanced. Unfortunately, social media is not doing their part. Social media is mostly giving them what they want to hear
Yep.
so
Yep.
that the page can be followed and liked and monetized.
Yeah.
So it's not about what is necessary, but what is convenient
Yeah.
that they're mostly peddling now. And this is why I appreciate what you're doing, sir. This podcast needs
Wow.
to go to places and get to people that it can help.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. See, this issue is a global issue. And in the West, I would tell you, is doing a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Uh, People can't talk about important issues because talking about those things will make somebody sad
And stigmatize you.
because you want to talk about what is real happening around you. It will make someone else sad, so you must not talk about it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
I say to myself, what are we doing to ourselves?
A false reality.
Yeah,
Don't confront issues. Don't deal with matter. Live in a false reality. But the results, what are the results? Is it working?
exactly. It's not
Is it
working.
working? It's not working. The rate of depression, frustration, anxiety attacks, suicide has escalated.
Yeah,
So the results shows that it's not
it's not
working.
working. Yet, unfortunately, I would say this: our leaders. See, for me, I said to myself, we see that these things are not working, yet we continue promoting this again and again and again and
Popularism,
again. So,
popularism,
what is our motive of pushing these things,
popularism.
even though we know it is not working? What is our motive? Well, I say to myself, okay, it's as if they want these kids to be dependent on the state so that they can they can control them. Okay,
Now you're
that's my
taking it.
thinking.
Now you're taking it to the logical conclusion,
Yeah,
and then you'll be termed a conspiracy theorist. Once you're branded
exactly,
and labeled,
exactly.
you'll be attacked. But you just need to go and read George Orwell's 1984.
Oh yeah,
It was a futuristic book,
yeah.
but all these things were prophetically
We see them
highlighted
every day.
there. 1984, there's another book, I forget the topic right now, also written years ago, that told us that this is where society is going to, and it's going to get to this, and we're experiencing those things right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And so there's more state propaganda, there's more state control, there's more monitor. Well, don't if we go into that, it's another ball entirely.
Of course. So the books of Jonathan Haidt for parents, one of them is the coddling of the American mind. Okay, the
Mm,
coddling of
yeah,
the
that's a good
American mind, and
yeah.
then the other one is the anxious generation. Those
Okay.
books are I've read the Calling of the American Mind. I have the Anxious Generation on my bed. Okay, yet to be read, but I've read that and other books of Jonathan Haidt, and see they help teachers and parents to understand what is going on. Now, he's a university professor. He's not like me, a conspiracy theorist. Okay, so he doesn't go that way. Okay, but reading his books will at least
Yeah.
enlighten us about what is going on and how to handle what is going on with our children. And Kunle,
Yeah.
your dissection of these issues is very, very apt. Okay, so thank you for that.
Thank
Now,
you very much. Yeah.
see, you have already talked about the, in some way, the benefit of emotional resilience. So,
Yeah.
what practical strategies should people cultivate to enhance
Okay.
their emotional resilience?
Emotional resilience. Okay, so let me put it this way. Let me first start by pointing out what lack of emotional resilience looks like.
Okay.
What lack of it looks like. Then from there, okay, so for instance, how do I know I lack emotional resilience? Number one, I easily get frustrated. You see a child or an adult that easily gets frustrated
Yeah.
and blames the world around. Things are not working. Society is not working. You know, that is an obvious sign of a lack of emotional resilience.
Yeah.
Um, People that are emotionally resilient are people that have taken personal responsibility. No matter what is going on, I wonder what can I do by myself to take control of my inner self and my immediate environment. They don't
Exactly.
yield control to external forces. So easily getting frustrated. Number one. Number two, they easily give up on their objectives. They give up on objectives. I want to do this, I want to do this. There's a little restraint or conflict or opposition, they give up. That is a sure sign of lack of emotional resilience. Number three, they feel victimized. You mentioned it.
Yeah.
They feel victimized. The whole world is against me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why this is happening. I don't know why at work, at home, everywhere, everyone. Why don't people understand me? Why don't?
Mm.
It's almost as if the whole world had a meeting when you were asleep and they said, let's focus on him. Let's focus on her. Once you have that manifestation of victimhood, it's a sure signal that there's something wrong from within, not from without.
Yeah.
So then again, they use wrong coping mechanisms.
Mm.
So for some, they've discovered that there's a problem, whether they've identified it consciously or not. Something within them tells them there's a problem. So they look for ways to cope, and society will easily offer you lots of wrong coping mechanisms, such as substance abuse,
Yeah.
excessive anger, harsh reactions to people around you, the blame game. Someone is always wrong, someone is always at fault. It's never me.
Me.
Those are signs. They are negative coping mechanisms which the person is trying to use to feel better. But they're negative because at the end of the day, they cause more disruption, disrupt the environment, and the real problem is still there within. You only get
Yeah.
temporary relief from shouting. It
Yeah.
doesn't take away the problem. So now, why emotional resilience is key for our youth and our adults, for everyone.
Everyone.
But we are focusing on the youth here because they've grown up in the season of life where things are broken down a lot. Some of us are privileged to come from a more stable era. One, it will help you to persevere and to pursue, to stay focused on objectives in life.
Yeah.
That is one clear advantage. Two is that people that have resilience, they have more focus and clarity. Clarity. They can see
Yeah.
clearly through the BS. They see clearly
Yeah.
through the BS. They know what it is, what they're going, and they're not easily manipulated by others. They have optimism. They are not bowed down by the situation.
Yeah.
They have that internal optimism, knowing that life is in circles. They learn and adapt. They wonder, what do I need to learn? What do I need to do in order
Yeah.
to move forward? I may not be equipped to cope with this challenge or this situation, but I can quickly acquire some skills, learn from the situation, and move forward. They are solutions minded. My my golden question. So what then do we do?
Exactly.
What do we need to do to move forward? In people management and leadership, this is the key. If you're going to progress in any situation, once I'm with a team, I'm with my people are beginning to trump the problem or despair. Hold on, what do we need to do? What is the solution? How do we move forward? And once I ask that question, people start coming up with positive options, and then we can move rather than
Yeah.
stay on the same spot lamenting. And then they can forgive. People that possess resilience can forgive and move on because
Yeah.
they've come to understand that lack of forgiveness is staying at the spot where you are damaged. Is staying at that spot where you are damaged. It's not about holding another person, you are holding yourself. And, human beings are not built to carry bitterness.
No.
Snakes are built to carry poison. They have a sack for it. The
Yeah.
poison doesn't poison them, they release it to poison others. Human beings are not snakes. When you harbor poison, it first of all destroys you,
It will kill
even
you.
before it destroys those outside you. That's it.
Yeah.
And then finally, people with emotional resilience tend to be self aware. They understand themselves and they can manage themselves. They are
Yeah.
self aware. Now, you asked the vital question, how do we develop emotional resilience?
Yes.
Let me give some tips. Number one is being able to look beyond yourself in times of crisis. Being able to look beyond yourself. Human beings from ancient times have always tried to look beyond themselves. We talk about God. Some people we talk about, some will seek that thing that is beyond them in drugs, opioids, in all manner of drugs.
Yeah.
Some will have an idol, but being able to positively look beyond yourself. What is creation? Where is this all leading to? Definitely, there is a higher intelligence, whom we call God, out there.
Yeah.
And realizing that I can tap into a source higher than myself is a great comfort and great source of strength. Number two, looking beyond the crisis, having a long-term perspective,
Mm.
having a long-term perspective, because the strength of crisis is focusing on the present. It makes you focus on the present and to magnify it and to see all the damage. And then people stay there and carry it along. But if you look beyond it, that's why something will happen to two people. Somebody will be broken and remain there. Another person will look up and say, well, it has happened and they're moving on.
It
So
has
you're
happened.
wondering, how is this person moving on? Can't they see what has happened to them? Can't he see the way that man abused and insulted all of us? Can't they see that they sacked all of? Can't they? Isn't this person seeing the problem? Are they blind? They're not blind. They've realized that life is in cycles. The good comes, the bad comes. Night comes, day
Bit.
breaks.
Yeah.
Another cycle will come. I need to be prepared for it. And this is where optimism comes into place. They put things in perspective. Building emotional intelligence, resilience, learn to put things in perspective. He broke up with me, not my life ended. They are two different things. My life didn't end. That guy broke up with me. Some people move ahead and have other relationships and better relationships. He broke up with me. It doesn't mean I lack value. It means he doesn't see it or he prefers another set of values, and that is okay. Putting things in perspective. I
Yeah.
am broke, not I am finished. I can still make money in the future.
Yeah.
There are many billionaires today that were once broke, and there are many billionaires currently that have gone broke.
Yeah.
So putting things in perspective is a critical skill that helps to develop emotional resilience. And when we are not able to do it in a crisis, we must have people around us that we can approach. We know that this
Mm.
person has the skill of putting things in perspective. So sometimes I might be blinded emotionally. They can approach us, look, we need to talk. I need to talk to you. My daughters do that with me a lot. And I've
Yeah.
learned to create that time for them. Because do you know the problem with you speakers, sir? People like you go around speaking to others, you go around encouraging others, and then you get home. Now, I'm saying that
Yeah. Of
jokingly.
course.
You get
Hmm.
home, you look forward to, I too can now rest, forgetting that you have a constituency at home. And that
Yes.
is when they want to talk. We've been sharing you with the world, with the church, with all the agencies. Come now, let's talk. And someone says, oh no, I
I'm
need some
tired.
rest. When that was happening to me, I said, Kunle, you are missing it.
Yeah.
In ministry, in theology, we are taught that God first, your family second, the ministry third.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when you
very
put
good.
ministry or work before your family, you are catering to others and neglecting your own.
Yeah.
No wonder in those old days, a lot of pastors' children used to be wayward.
Yeah.
While the people they're mentoring, and I said, no, I'm not going to get it wrong. So no matter how exhausted I am, I've had to go and take coffee one day because I was almost breaking down. And my daughter said, Dad, I want to talk. I said, okay. And I put down my phone straight away. That's what I do. I
Yeah.
changed, it took strength of determination. I put down my phone. I said, yeah. And we have to brew a cup of coffee. Then I drank it so that my eyes were open. I said, yeah, let's talk. So I deliberately create that time so that I
Yeah.
don't lose them while saving the world.
Yeah.
You know, take care, put things in perspective. Number four, take care of your personal health. Health.
Yeah.
In emotional intelligence, we recognize that your physiology affects your psychology,
Oh, yeah.
and your psychology can form your physiology. They can affect each other.
Each other.
We don't have the time, but when it comes to emotional self-control, we can give physical tips and even help us identify some things we do unconsciously without being aware, whereby a person is distraught with emotionally, and then they use physical things such as drinking cold water, pouring water on their faces, or going for a walk. And then after doing those things, your mind cools down. So you did something physical and it affected you
Yeah.
emotionally, mentally. So your physiology has a direct bearing on your psychology.
Yeah.
And therefore, when I don't take care of myself physically, I can feel it. I become more easily stressed. In fact, the experts in stress management will tell you that stress is more of mental than physical.
Mm.
Stress is more of mental than physical, a higher percentage. Because when I'm mentally fit, I don't easily get stressed. But when I'm not mentally fit, a little here and I'm already stressed out. So take care of yourself physically, seek qualified help. These are things that help build emotional resilience. In Africa, it's cheap. Where you are, it's expensive. Get
Mm.
straight through the nose. Here, if I don't have the money to see, look, there are people that they don't have the money to speak to me as a coach. I'm a certified coach, but some can access me through the church. I'm their pastor
Yeah.
and I can't charge them. Here, you don't charge.
Yes.
Counseling is free in religious circles. So if
Yes.
you go to an institution where they are trained to do what they do, not a ramshackle something, you can get free counseling. You want to see your pastor, he can't deny you.
Yeah.
Can't deny you. And then, so seek qualified help, whether you pay for it or not, and then practice stress management techniques. These things will help to build. Can I add a few more in a hurry?
Oh,
Because
very
I know the
go
time
go
is
on.
really
Go on.
going. Work, on yourself as much as possible to develop what I said I gave to my daughters: self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Self-acceptance.
Yeah.
I told them early. I kept on telling them, it's only recently, maybe I don't need to say it unless there's a need, that you are a great creation of God. You're a wonderful instrument. You're a fantastic technology. Mentally, the experts have said the human brain is vast, complex, greater than any computer we are using. The Bible itself tells us that we're wonderful human nature, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
Scientists have looked at us physiologically and said our construct is magnificent. The brain is an awesome wonder. When you begin to realize the machine that you are, you'll be like, oh, wow, come on. Where did I get low self esteem from? It's the programming of the environment around us.
Yeah.
So when we develop self-esteem, give them things to read, make sure they hear some things often, practice some things. As parents, my generation needs to avoid being too corrective, being too stern in correction.
Mm.
It's something that we inherited without knowing it because it's the way we were
Yeah.
brought up. And sometimes we pass it on. This is not to foster undue pampering. But sometimes I've seen some of our mates who be a bit stiff when it comes to correction. So we have to also balance it.
Yeah.
You have to balance it. Have an open ear. Be not be afraid to confront and correct, but do it in a way that doesn't break the egg, but removes the egg.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
self acceptance, help them build self esteem. Things like improve your self talk, what you say to yourself. Now, this is powerful. I seek permission to dwell on this. I seek permission to dwell on this.
Sure.
Amongst all the tips for developing self esteem leading to great confidence, personal self talk. Oftentimes, when I'm about to coach people, those days when I had more time and I used to do
Sorry.
personal
Sorry.
engagement.
I say to I say to my daughters, I am. I am. See, this is what we all every hour we we utter the word. I am this. I am that. I am this. I am that. You are telling yourself who you are.
Yeah,
And what you say about yourself cannot not happen.
absolutely. 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 So self talk is powerful. Sometimes when I see people that are struggling from deep within, um, and we've tried some approaches and it's not working, I ask them, I tell them to go and examine when you're in a crisis, think back, reflect. In your mind, what do you say to yourself? When you hear things like, oh, I'm a mess, I'm good, oh, I'm an idiot, oh, I'm this, that, oh, why did you do that? You rubbished yourself. I tell them to list them down. Your subconscious is powerful.
Yeah.
Subconscious mind. We can't
Yeah.
dimension that now, but it's powerful. Now, when you feed your subconscious mind over the years negative self talk, and it has no filter, it only works on you are incompetent. You don't deserve that opportunity. You're a mess. It starts. So sometimes you want to do something, but something within you opposes you, and you're
Yeah.
wondering where
Because
is this coming
you have told yourself you can't do
from.
it.
So self-talk.
Yeah.
So when we practice, I help them to change their self-talk. That start saying, feeding your subconscious mind positive things. I am capable. I can try.
Yeah.
I am this. This can work. Positive self-talk. Do you know that the greatest athletes in the world, people like Usain Bolt, Anthony Joshua, and the rest, they have
Yeah.
two kinds of coaches. They have a performance coach that trains an athlete how to run or box. They have a psychologist
Yeah.
that works on their minds. When Anthony Joshua lost to Ruiz, the Mexican with the big tummy the first time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
somebody and others agree said going into that fight was at his the peak of fitness. He
Yeah.
was very fit, more than he had been for many
Physically,
years.
yes.
but that his mentality was not right, that they noticed it, that his mentality was a bit destabilized. And it showed in the fight because at the peak of physical performance, what enables one to go beyond the order now is your mental fitness, not no longer your physical fitness.
Yeah.
The ability to push the body through extremes is one of the ordinary. Instead, it was a mental mindset. And so, one of the tips that the psychologists give them, one of the powerful tips, is this self-talk. Because there are times you can't go back to your coach when you're in the boxing ring. You
Yeah.
can't talk to your coach. There are times when Usain Bolt is on the track, he's about to run, and somebody, like there's this guy now, this American guy, he plays mental gimmicks to throw fear into the heart. And when they do that, you see him taking a deep breath. It will look like this. It will say things. When somebody once questioned him, what does it say? I've forgotten now. He said something, one of the words he uses to encourage himself. And once he does that, it gets back his rhythm
Yeah.
and then it goes for it. Train our people, teach them, practice positive self-talk. It could transform a whole lot of things. Final thing I think I should drop is focus on what you can influence. Focus on what you can influence. A lot of frustration comes when people pour a lot of energy and emotions into things that are beyond their control.
Yeah.
You are trying to work on things that are beyond your control, and then you get frustrated. Focus on things you can manage and control. The things that are outside of your ability to control, look for ways to cope with them. But don't focus entirely on things outside of your control. It's like you have limited yourself from the word go. It leads to frustration. Practicing these tips can really help to develop
Wow.
emotional resilience in our youth in Africa.
Woo! Man, Kunle, you have hit this ball way, 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 way out of the park. Okay. Wow. You have done,
Thank you very much.
yeah. See, my daughters must listen to this conversation because sometimes they think daddy is just talking. Okay. So they must hear from you.
It's a
Let's
privilege, yeah.
talk about the other one. See, many people, especially young people, think I should motivate them. They call me because I had about 12,000 people in my email list, and I used to send daily notes to them. So many of them assumed I'm a motivational speaker. I said, no, I'm not a motivational speaker because if you look at me as the person who motivates you to do something, what if I die? What will happen?
Mm, mm,
Okay.
mm,
So I
mm.
told them, you need to motivate yourself. Nobody can motivate you. So tell us what,
Okay.
let's understand self motivation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Motivation is another great concept,
Mm,
very great one. However, growing up and looking at it again from the societal perspective, when I say
yeah.
societal perspective, the way the layman out there uses it,
Mm,
something was wrong. Now, to be motivated is not a bad thing. But oftentimes, when people think of motivation, what we are accustomed to is, oh, somebody gave me a tap, somebody gave me $1,000, somebody patted me on the back, somebody said something that encouraged me, somebody acknowledged me. Now, the challenge there is this: all those things are good, they're not bad.
good. Yeah.
The challenge there is they're all dependent on someone outside of me
Outside.
doing something. Someone outside of me doing something, then I'm motivated. The challenge is this: in real life, you're not always in a situation where you have someone to motivate you. Sometimes the person you hope would motivate you is not in a situation to motivate. Sometimes they need more motivation than you.
Yeah.
The husband is coming back home and is like, oh, when I get home, oh, I'm going to speak. Why? My wife, you need to tell her what I went through today. At least this is somebody I can talk to. I've been bashed really. I need to talk. I need to talk. And they get home. The wife had a worst day. And she was like, let me just get home. Let me just get home. Where's my darling? I'm going to talk. Thank God he's arrived. Each person is waiting to spill, to pour out, looking for a sympathetic and empathetic ear. And this one starts talking, that one starts talking. Before you know it, I've noticed this happen with couples a lot. Whenever I'm counseling and intervening in some situations, each one feels that I have more challenges than you need to listen.
Mm.
You are not helping me, you're not listening. So it becomes a competition for I need my attention, I need attention, I need my and before you know it, they start fighting.
Yeah.
You get to work and you've done a wonderful job over the weekend or last week, and you're like, my boss is going to come in this Monday, he's going to appreciate, see all I've done, and is going to really be happy with me and encourage me and yeah. And your boss comes in, your boss just probably heard that somebody has a disease, a kidney problem, a terminal problem. Just probably heard that his son has just been arrested for drugs. Just probably heard that maybe the management have just said, we give you 3 months to transform that company, otherwise they're going to be sacked. News that has shaken them. So your boss comes in, is not even seeing you. She's not seeing you. She's looking fine and big on the outside, but within, that person is, and you are like, oh, this person is going to motivate me. That person doesn't even recognize you at that point. So what happens when your hopeful source of motivation is not ready to give you motivation? I wither and die.
Mm.
No. And this is where the oft ignored concept of self motivation comes in. Self motivation says that you can actually, it's the inner force that drives you to do things from within, not
Yeah.
from without. The
Yeah.
inner force that drives you from within to do things. In reality, um, nobody can really motivate anyone. What people do is to hopefully stimulate. For instance, 5 people are here at work and I give everybody 1 million naira bonus. Somebody's excited because that money meets him at this point of need.
Yeah.
Another person is like, this is how they try to buy us. What I need is to be recognized and given a promotion. I've been on this job for the past 8 years without moving up vertically. I need that feeling of self-worth. I need to be acknowledged. I need to be put in front to speak for the office at the management meeting. Project me. Don't just give me 1 million bribes. Money is not my problem. So for one, it works. For another person, it's only
Doesn't.
50% or more. So there's nothing that can come from outside that is guaranteed to motivate a person unless it correlates with what is a need within them.
Mm.
Therefore, I'm the one most suited to actually motivate myself. Self motivation has to do with my ability to know what needs to be done
Yeah.
without influence from other people or situations. And that's a description from the business dictionary. It comes from within. Now, when it comes to self motivation, some things are fundamental. I can
Mm.
list several things, but I
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
simplify it. I love to usually simplify things and put them in descriptive ways because it helps me connect easily with my audience. I think the singular most important factor is ability to know my why. My why.
That's it.
Why am I here? Why am I alive? Why am I in this marriage? Why am I studying this course? Why am I in school? Did I set out to achieve? What is the objective? What is the purpose? Somebody said when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. First, when a young man or young lady, whom the father is a crafts person and barely gathered money to send him or her to school, the first undergraduate in the family, and we are hoping the hopes of the family is on that person, the hopes of the generation. This one will graduate to the first graduate, and then we lift others out of this mess. And then that person gets to school and forgets the mandate and then start getting involved in cultism, start jumping from party to party, and is rusticated, and then the hope of the family is torture.
Yeah.
A particular gentleman, very sad, when I was in university, I left, and then we heard that he had died. What happened? It was the hope of the family, just like this. And then he joined the calls, and they were doing this riots, aluta, that kind of thing. And then police came, stray bullets hit him and cut him short. And but another person in the same situation realizes that my mom sold petty things for me to go to university. My dad did this kind of ignoble work to put me here. I cannot waste that sacrifice. I can't waste that energy. There's a lot of hope for me. I'm here to achieve this. I'm here to get a 2-1. I'm here to get a first class and hopefully get a scholarship to go further. I'm here to distinguish myself. I'm going to focus. And somebody says, let's go and protest. Let's go and riot. Come and join the cult. I says, no, that's not what I want to do. It says, oh, you are afraid, which is what they
Yeah.
usually use to
Mm-hmm.
oppress a lot of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you are afraid. I'm not going to say, let me show them I'm not afraid. This person with focus and clarity and has developed inner esteem will say, okay, I'm afraid. I hope that satisfies you. Are you okay now? I'm afraid. So can you go? Can you let me be? Oh,
Mm.
you're afraid. You're afraid. You're schmuck. You're this. You're this. Thank you. And the guy focuses on his education, gets his fourth class. Those what are calling him afraid end up looking up to him, ends up celebrating him, and end up cheering him, and becomes an example and a role model to them. He remained focused. He knew his why, focused on his why, and achieved his why. You see,
Yeah.
when you know your why, that's why will drive you from within to focus and to keep on going. It becomes a Rubicon, a guiding light. But the moment you lose focus of your why, distractions will take over
Yeah.
in your mind and you will subject your life to things that are irrelevant. So knowing your why is very key. And I do these exercises with people. I say, sit down, get back to me by next week. Define your why in life, your why in school, your why in marriage, your why on that job. So let me give you one quickly. I've seen young men that if you send them 2,000 naira in dollars, that's less than $1. Or is it $10?
Mm.
$1 is
Yeah.
1,500 naira.
Yes.
$1. So I'm talking about almost $2 when they were jobless and had nowhere to stay. They'll quickly buy some food, barb their hair, print extra copies of their CV, and maybe retain a little transportation to move somewhere the next day. All of a sudden, this person gets a job and is hearing people say, I'm tired. I'm not going to take that nonsense from that man. I'm going to resign. And he resigns. The person that led the protest will be given another opportunity in a big company because his dad is connected, or will be moved overseas to do something else. You, with no connection, no background, no family, you resign, and all of a sudden you find yourself stranded. I like, what have I done? What have I done? Do you prefer to be begging people for $2, $5, $10 when you had an opportunity to earn $500, $2,000, but you got angry, forgot your why, and you lost that opportunity?
Yeah.
And I've seen some young men come to me and say, help me. What will I do? Say, you threw that opportunity away because some people are saying, we can't take this anymore. You forgot where you're coming from. But when a person knows their why, you say, I don't like this insult. I don't like this situation, but I'm going to hold on till I get something better. Right now, I'm far better off than where I was. I can pay my bills. I can hold my head high. I don't need to depend on anybody. In fact, I'm giving to others. I'm not going to focus on the negative alone. I'm going to appreciate the positive. This job has taken me beyond where I used to be, and they
Yeah.
stay focused. So they swallow something to get something, and that
Yeah.
is life. You give something to get something, and then they move on. And one day they overcome that place, they move. You know, this is about knowing your why.
Why?
What is your
Yeah.
why?
Very good. You see, this what you just talked about, people who let external circumstance drive what they do and who they are. See, and unfortunately, external circumstance doesn't know you. External circumstance see you as a speck in the wheel, in a big wheel. Okay, it doesn't know you as an individual. Only you, know your motive, know your why, know what you want in life, and only you can truly motivate yourself. You know, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
so I was going to say that as part of developing self motivation,
mm,
another vital factor is your association.
of course,
Your
yeah,
association, the
a
people
big
you
part,
surround
a big
yourself
part.
with.
Yes,
Yeah. These days, we won't just talk about your physical association, but your virtual association.
yeah,
Who do you relate with online? Which influencer do you listen to? You have to be very strategic at choosing the people that you give permission to influence and control your mind.
yeah,
So if you associate with the wrong person physically or virtually, don't be surprised if some things are happening to you. If you're losing some strengths you have and you're cultivating weaknesses. And yeah, so your associations, one. Two, um, it's also important who you associate with. And I was going to talk about not dwelling on past failures.
yeah,
That is one vital thing that has hindered people from moving forward a lot.
yeah,
In the place of counseling, oftentimes we have to help people overcome that vital area. Because
mm,
when people don't let go of the past, either forgive others or forgive themselves, or move beyond their failures and condemnation, they're unable to move forward.
yeah,
They're unable to develop self esteem. They're unable to develop the kind of resilience and motivation that we need to succeed in life.
yeah,
So letting go, not focusing on past failures. Someone is quick to mention when we have this in an open class. But I thought people say, look, you can learn from the past, but don't be stuck in the past.
exactly.
Look at the past, take the learning points and move forward.
Move forward.
Not that you sit there and dwell on it. Either past failures or past successes, by the way.
Yeah, of
Dwelling
course.
on past successes can render me from being relevant today. So I just thought I should quickly drop that when it comes
Very,
to
very good. Very good.
um, further developing self motivation.
I want you to recommend 5 books quickly. Okay, 5 books to my audience. Yeah.
Now, when we talk about books, um, I think number one on the list should be The Atomic Habits by
Okay.
James Clear.
Yeah.
The Atomic Habits by
Mm-hmm.
James Clear. Very insightful, purposeful book, very practical in approach.
Yeah.
Very close to it. I would have wanted to say, don't let me mention something to do with habits again. But honestly, it's important. The 7 habits of highly effective people.
Excellent. Excellent one.
Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
Stephen Covey is a very, very good one. Make Your Bed by Admiral William H.
Yeah.
McRaven.
Uh,
Make Your
Excellent
Bed
one.
by Admiral William
The,
H.
the, the, sp-
McRaven.
the speech the
And
speech he made me buy that book, and I read it. Yes. Yeah.
I think another one I would recommend is Thinking Fast and Slow.
Okay.
Thinking Fast and
Fast and
Slow
slow. Yeah.
by
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Kahneman. I hope I got that Kahneman or Kahneman. I'm not very sure about the pronunciation,
Mm.
but Thinking Fast and Slow is another one. And then one final one. Let me see. Um, one final one because he said five.
Yes. One more. One
Um,
more.
I think 12 Rules for Life. 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson.
Great book.
Yeah, another useful book.
Great book.
Our youth and yeah,
See, great
young
book.
leaders.
Great
Yeah,
book. And I will say this: great man. Okay.
yeah.
See, I will say this with my full chest: great book and a great man. Unfortunately, some particular people in the West don't like him and hate him. Uh, see, I will tell you something about Jordan Peterson. When I
Yeah.
first heard about him, I heard about him for not for good things. I heard about him from people I admired, and they were saying so many things about him, very negative. Luckily, for me, when you say things about people, I've learned not to take what other people say. I want to see what that thing you are saying. So that led me to go and listen to several of his interviews. And I don't watch clips of interviews. I watch the whole thing. I watch one, two, three, four, five. I'm saying where I can't see these things. This evil man said, I can't see it.
Sorry, Ekene. You mentioned it earlier. When you don't go according to the popular narrative,
Yeah,
the wolves come for you.
yeah,
They come for you. So one of the key things, for instance, that it preaches is do what is important and not what is convenient.
mm,
These days, there are lots of people that are trying to manipulate the thinking of people, and they preach doing what is convenient. So far as
yes,
it pleases you, so far as it feels good, do it. If it feels good, do it.
yeah,
They are not coming from the point of morality, point of social responsibility. It feels good, do it. If you're running math and it feels good, run math.
do it.
We'll
Good.
support you. So when somebody comes and says no, there are standards, ethical standards. There are standards established all over the years that guide and create balance
Yeah,
in interaction in society, and is trying to they shut them down. So that is why it will be seen as an enemy. Also, one of the things I remember he spoke about, before you try to clean the streets, claim the corner in front of your own house.
yes.
In other words, I think it's the good book that says remove the log in your eye before you try to remove that
Oh
in
yeah,
your brother's eye.
yeah.
So now the popular narrative these days is pretend to be a saint and be removing the log, go around, you know. And so they're going to come against somebody like that.
Mm,
They don't want to
mm,
hear the truth.
mm.
They don't want you to say the truth so that you don't hinder their agenda.
Yeah,
And so some of us have learned to accept it. I don't seek external validation. Once you know something to be true and you can wait, look at the results,
yeah,
examine it from a neutral perspective of critical thinking, I will say it. And it will help those that are open to the truth. But those that need
external validation.
psychedelic drugs, external validation, and I want you can stimulate. Is it a drug? I don't want to call it the drug center in the brain. You know, serotonin, all
Yeah,
those things. You want to feel high, and without those
doing
that
anything.
need that, they will take the lies, which at the moment will make them feel good, but on
Yeah,
the long run is destructive. And that is why they will criticize somebody like that. So
yeah.
those are the 5 books I would recommend
Very good
um,
one.
for anyone to read
Mm.
to help them in these areas of leadership, resilience, and self-motivation.
Okay, thank you. Now,
Yeah.
I want you to advise young Africans. Okay, what can they do to add value to their society?
Start by adding value to yourself.
Okay, very simple.
Start by adding value to yourself. Um, the hype there these days is people trying to portray a value that doesn't exist within them.
Mm.
Um, and people trying to monetize it quickly. They don't have it. They only have some externalities. And so when their users run into problems, they really can't help. It's like the trainer that read up things online without internalizing and has no practical experience, has not confronted those realities. They'll
Yeah.
tell you, this is the theory, this is it, this is it, this is it. When somebody on the front line says, I tried this, but it's not working. See, you're not doing it well. You're not doing it well. If you do it well, you get the results. Why? They, they don't understand the complexity, the
Yeah.
nitty gritty. Now, if you meet a trainer that's been through it practically, when they put you through, that's why our classes are often back and forth,
Yeah.
discussion, nitty gritty. We use theory to guide,
Mm-hmm.
and then we speak. So when somebody asks a question, we say, "Oh, yes, because of this, because of this. Try this. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of this?" There's this practical, and then we do case studies. We practically apply concepts. Why? We have been privileged to go through what we are saying,
Yeah.
and nobody will go through those sessions without being transformed. If they are not theoretical, they're largely practical.
Yeah.
So the world today wants to appear to have value without having grown that value. If anybody wants to be valuable to society today, start on the journey of self awareness. Who am I? Discover who you are. Identify things you need to build. Build your own personal value. And then from that strong foundation, you can go out there to share with others. Let me round this up by saying this.
Okay.
Recently, I had to mentor, to counsel, because it's not a long-term relationship, a young man. And he said he discovered some truths, And what he does is once he discovers those truths, he shares them on his handle. He shares them on this, share them. And people are like, wow, wisdom, wow, word, wow, wow. And they feel good. Then at a point in time, he ran into serious trouble and it was brought to me. And we sat down and we looked at things and realized that what he has been doing, he realized it because I will guide you, I won't tell you.
Yeah.
He realized that what he had been doing, and in his own words, was that once he gets a glimpse of a truth or revelation, he quickly externalizes it. He doesn't internalize it.
Internalize. Yeah.
So the art of meditation and personalization is lost. Therefore, it doesn't get the benefit of that revelation. What it gets is admiration from outside.
Mm.
But then he has nothing within. And then when he faces situations, he can't use what he has shared with others because he doesn't
Exactly.
know them.
Wow.
So I had to talk with him and encourage him. Next time you discover a truth, you touch a revelation, you say, go and internalize it, dwell on it,
Yeah.
apply it,
Meditate on it.
form life from it, build it inculcate it into your foundation. Then you grow. Then you're able to help people over time with it and share it. Don't run to share it before you have internalized it.
Wow. Powerful.
I want to say a huge thank you for the privilege to be a part of this program, to share
Wow.
these things, and to have this discussion with you. I want to tell you, sir, you're doing a great job. I went
Thank
through
you.
some of the podcasts you've done in the past, and for giving a platform to make sure others hear these things.
Yeah.
Because when we go around speaking, somebody will say, "Oh, Mr. Adefila, who's sharing this with our youth? Mr. Adefila, I wish I'd known this when I was a teenager. Mr. Adefila, I wish my children could hear this." So we
Mm.
need more platforms like this that make this accessible to everyone out there. Thank you for doing a great job, sir.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
You too.